I once thought I had everything. When my elemental mark appeared, I finally felt proud. My family's poverty no longer chained me down, and I believed I could build a better life. At the Elemental Academy, I even ranked high in exams. But 2 days ago, everything shattered. My mark turned hidden. To others, that meant useless. Since then, every step I take is followed by scorn and whispers. The square where I trained became a place of humiliation. My classmates no longer saw me as one of them, but as a burden to the academy. They shouted that I should be expelled. Their words pierced deeper than any wound, but I swallowed the pain and walked away. Instructor Yu Yusin, with her gentle presence, tried to comfort me. She told me my mark wasn't truly gone, just hidden. But I couldn't accept that. To me, hidden meant powerless. Her kindness couldn't erase the truth. Without my mark, I was nothing. I ran off to be alone, away from their pity and contempt. Lying on the rooftop, I thought about the past. 20 years ago, a comet brought elemental power to the world. Those who awakened marks gained everything: status, wealth, honor. I too had once risen from the dust. Now, I had fallen back into it. When I touched my forehead, faint lines of the hidden mark appeared, proof of my failure. The 2 days since then felt like years. Each glance, each whisper, stripped away what pride I had left. I drifted into uneasy sleep, only to wake to the voice of my foster grandfather, Yuan Su. He reminded me of my weakness now, but then promised something impossible, a place where my mark could be restored. His words lit a spark in me, a hope I thought lost. Yet hope was fragile. Walking through the academy beside him, I still faced ridicule. Students laughed at my fall, once praising me, now despising me. Only Yuan Su's calm voice steadied me. But when I saw Zhou Shiyu's eyes, full of sorrow, shame cut deeper than ever. She was the one I wanted to protect, yet now I couldn't even stand beside her. Her friend's words were cruel but true. Without my mark, I was nothing but barren soil. After leaving the academy, I followed Grandpa Yuan back to his villa. The place was beautiful and peaceful, so different from the noise and cruelty I had just faced. He took me to his art studio, a room full of his paintings. I had spent many hours there as a child, but I never liked painting, nor had any talent for it. I thought he only wanted me to sit with him again, but he told me something I never expected. He said the painting of a golden tree on the wall was not a painting at all, but another world. I was shocked. He explained that hidden elemental marks are connected to a strange power from that world. The comet that once fell to Earth was no accident. It was a fragment of a god. That was how elemental power came into being. The necklace he gave me would let me enter the painting and recover my hidden mark, maybe even make it stronger. The thought filled me with hope, though I was still unsure of what awaited me. I agreed, but I also wished to see her one more time, Zhou Shiyu. That night was the Academy's annual ball. For most, it was a chance to show beauty, talent, and power. I was not welcome there anymore, yet my heart still pulled me toward her. Shiyu was dressed in a blue gown, admired by everyone around her. She was graceful and calm, though I knew her heart was unsettled. Her friends tried to push her toward powerful young men, sons of generals and businessmen, telling her to forget me. They said I was useless now, someone with no future. But I knew she still thought of me, even if she wouldn't admit it. As she sat alone, Fu Yuan, the second-ranked student, approached her. Dressed elegantly, he tried to charm her with smooth words, even daring to touch her. Watching this scene from the shadows filled me with fire. I could not let her suffer such treatment. My voice broke through the music and laughter of the hall, cold and sharp. I told him to take his hand off her. For the first time in days, I felt a spark of strength inside me. Maybe I truly had no choice but to fight. For my mark, for my pride, and for her. I went to the annual ball with only one thought, to see Shiyu one last time. But when I entered, I saw Fu Yuan's hand on her shoulder. Even if I no longer had the right to call her mine, my pride could not let me watch in silence. The crowd turned against me immediately, mocking me as a beggar, a lapdog, a man who should have disappeared. Their words no longer cut as sharply as before, but they still burned. Fu Yuan enjoyed their jeers. He mocked me openly and challenged me to fight. Before I could even answer, he struck my chest and sent me flying back. The unfairness was clear. He still had his elemental power, while mine had faded. But I could not walk away. I told myself I could not lose, not tonight. The circle of students cheered as if we were gladiators. Every girl who admired him shouted his name. Every boy treated me as nothing more than a target for entertainment. The fight began with his fist tearing through the air like thunder. I twisted, dodged, and countered, landing a solid blow on his back. Yet he only laughed and pressed harder, attacking with punches, kicks, and feints. I was weaker now, my body no longer strengthened by power, but I refused to fall. Even as his strikes battered me, I stood up again and again. The cheers grew louder, feeding his pride. He wanted to break me completely, to make me crawl. At last, I saw him summon a hidden spark of elemental force. I knew then that he intended to end it. His final punch struck me in the chest. Pain exploded through my body as I was thrown across the hall, smashing through wine towers before crashing into the wall. The crack spread like a spider's web behind me. My chest burned, and my vision blurred. For a moment, I thought it might be the end. I heard Shiyu's voice, angry and sharp, accusing him of breaking the academy's rules. But he dismissed her, claiming I was no longer even a student, no longer worthy. His words stung more than his blows. And then, in the silence, I heard Shiyu's cold laugh as wind and light gathered around her. She was ready to fight in my place. I watched the wind gather around Shiyu as she faced Fu Yuanyuan. Her power pushed everyone back. He tried to calm her, but she struck him and forced him to his knees. The principal arrived and ended the chaos. Shiyu checked my wound. My chest burned and bled near the heart. She used her power to steady me, and the principal eased the pain with healing light. They brought me to a villa where Grandpa Yuan waited. In his studio, he put a strange helmet on my head, set the painting of the golden tree before me, and placed a black stone necklace around my neck. Moonlight hit the stone, light filled the room, and I vanished. I awoke in another world on a ruined battlefield. I wore broken black armor and a cracked half-helmet marked with a sword. The ground was covered with bodies, banners, ash, and smoke. My own blood and pain told me it was real. I realized this was not my face and felt the black necklace at my throat. My memories were scattered. I climbed a dune and saw tens of thousands dead from 3 different armies, each with its own symbol, sword, axe, and spear. The emblem on my helmet matched the sword. I tried to call my wood element and failed. There was no mark, no response, only fear and weakness. I forced myself to breathe and move. A warhorse approached carrying a young knight. He saw I was lost and gave me water. He believed I had lost my memory. He read numbers on my armor and said I was a vanguard knight of the 2nd Legion. He explained this land had 3 powers locked in a century of war: the Holy Temple in the west, the 7 Kingdoms in the east, and the Viking dynasty in the south. They fought for land, food, and survival. He called me the Nameless One and pulled me onto his horse to find the main force and return to Sand City. The horse was weak until he fed it elemental meat from an elemental beast. The animal's strength surged, and we rode faster across the dunes. I learned that eating such meat could change bloodlines and awaken power. Hearing this, hope stirred in me again. If this world held another path to power, I might survive, find a way home, and change my fate. The road felt endless. I was hurt, thirsty, and surrounded by empty land. So I kept my mind busy by listening to Connie. He told me about elemental beasts and elementalists. In this world, there are 7 elements and 3 growth stages, but people are limited by bloodline and can use only one element. I believed I was different because I came from another world. If I formed one lifebound mark here, I might awaken more. 2, 3, even all 7. I hoped gathering all 7 could lead me home. I remember to talk with my academy headmaster about the principle of elements. Everything is made of the 7 elements. We do not create from nothing. We draw and reshape what already exists. If someone mastered all 7, they would move with all of nature, stepping into a realm beyond the world. Power demands cost. He felt that crossing that line would change his place in the world. Thinking of this, I realized my world had changed because of the power of this one. We rode for hours. The horse glowed with the last of its strength, but the sun burned, and our water ran out. We removed armor to save energy and pushed on toward the slanting sun, still far from the main army and impossibly far from the desert city. Connie said we could not stop through the night, so I slept lightly in the saddle while he held the reins. When I woke, the sky was full of stars and the moon was bright. Ahead lay a rocky valley split by a huge crack. We entered, hoping for water. The soil was damp but salty, useless for drinking. Connie searched the ground and dug a small pit. A foul smell rose, and he found a cluster of pale eggs. He called them water scorpion eggs, full of moisture. The taste was terrible, but the cool wetness spread through my stomach and eased my throat. Survival mattered more than flavor. We took turns eating until the pit was empty. We planned to rest there. The wind was colder at midnight, and the horses needed calm. As Connie explained the creature's life cycle, our horse suddenly cried out and stamped the ground. A threat was near. I turned toward the darkness, ready for whatever was coming. The cold wind on my neck warned me of danger. Before I even thought, my body moved on its own, dodging the strike of a scorpion's deadly tail. Its size was shocking, glowing faintly blue with black stinger and pincers. I quickly joined Connie, and together we faced it. He explained it was a water demon scorpion, venomous enough to kill with a single drop. Running was useless. We had no choice but to fight. Connie's swordsmanship was like silver lightning, dazzling and powerful. Sparks flew as he clashed with the creature's pincers. He shouted for me to circle behind. I obeyed, striking at its tail. The beast lashed out, but I blocked with my iron sword. At that moment, Connie cut through its face, and I severed its tail, ending the fight. The blue liquid from its wounds smelled sharp and strange. As Connie explained, elemental beasts are ranked by grade: common, fine, exquisite, and supreme. The higher the grade, the more elemental powers they hold. This scorpion was common, and water element beasts were the weakest of all. Still, its meat was useful. It held plenty of water and didn't spoil easily, making it perfect for travel. We cut it apart, packed the meat, and moved on. Soon, we found corpses of Vikings, their beards blood-stained, clearly killed by soldiers of Qi. Their flag and wounds left no doubt. The hoofprints on the ground suggested Vikings were following the main force. Connie cursed when he found nothing worth looting, but we decided to rest. He built a fire, and we roasted the scorpion meat. Its taste was strange yet sweet, quenching my thirst as if I had drunk cool water. More than that, energy surged into my body, warming my blood and easing my wounds. I felt lighter, stronger. Connie reminded me that while elemental meat strengthens the body, not everyone becomes an elementalist. Talent decides that path. Still, I admired his strength and knowledge, built from years of surviving battles with these beasts. We finished eating, our spirits restored. The hoofprints stretched far into the valley, leading deeper into unknown danger. Connie looked at me with calm determination. It was time to begin tracking. Through the long night, I followed Connie westward, tracing hoofprints, footprints, and wheel marks left by Vikings and Qi soldiers. Dawn crept closer, the stars dimmed, and my body, filled with elemental energy, felt alive despite no sleep. Soon we reached a withered forest. Its branches and slopes made it hard for chariots, yet perfect for ambushes. Connie explained this path was a shortcut to Sand City. Both the army and their pursuers would likely pass here. We sent the horse away, knowing it could find its way back with the energy it carried, and stepped into the forest on foot. Among the dry grass, we found chariots hidden, proof that over 100 men were nearby. It was clear the Vikings and Qi soldiers weren't chasing the entire army, but a smaller team. That meant someone important was being targeted, perhaps even the Knight Commander. Moving deeper, we discovered a hidden camp of Qi soldiers, about 90 men, wearing armor marked with spear emblems. Some were injured, but none badly. They rested, ate dry rations, and drank from a crude water container. Watching them, I realized the Vikings must be close, and these men were preparing for battle. The truth revealed itself when a tall figure stepped from the forest. His cloak bore the golden symbol of Qi, his helmet carried a silver spear mark, and his presence commanded respect. He was a silver-patterned general, a man able to lead 1,000 troops. His speech stirred his soldiers, urging them to strike at dawn against the Viking leader Yidos. He promised glory, honor, and the chance to rise through blood and courage. The men shouted, their swords flashing in the dim light. Connie mocked the boasting tone of the general, saying if he had such words he'd already be a captain. I teased him back, but he quickly grew serious. After the soldiers marched out, hidden elites revealed themselves, raising their number to over 200. As they moved like wolves into the forest, Connie and I rose and watched their direction. He said this was a rare chance, like a mantis catching a cicada, though behind it might wait a sparrow's net. Still, he insisted we could turn the chaos into our opportunity. If we supported the Knight Commander or even brought back the Viking leader's head, we might win a noble title. I felt uncertain, but he pushed me onward. The sparrow would not wait long. The Viking camp was hidden deep in the forest, a poor location but one they didn't fear. Their leaders searched elsewhere for the Knight Captain, while most of the warriors slept without fires to hide their presence. Only a few guards kept watch, grumbling about the boredom of waiting. Suddenly, arrows rained down from the forest. One guard was killed instantly, another fought back, but soon fell covered in wounds. The Chi general had struck first, ordering his men to attack. The shouts and arrows woke the Vikings. Years of battle hardened them, and they rushed out swinging axes. The fight was brutal. Blood sprayed, iron clashed, and men fell on both sides. The Chi soldiers had numbers, but the Vikings' sheer strength made them dangerous. Even when they only countered, their axes shattered swords and forced men to retreat. Still, without enough heavy weapons, the Vikings could not turn the tide. In the chaos, the silver-patterned general of Chi stood out. Cloaked, calm, and deadly, he cut down warriors with each swing of his bronze sword. His speed and precision impressed me. Each movement flowed like water. Each strike cut cleanly, leaving no wasted effort. Compared to him, even Connie's swordsmanship seemed less. Watching, I thought the battle would end quickly in Chi's favor. But then a massive figure appeared, drenched in blood but unhurt. The Viking leader had arrived, swinging a giant axe marked with silver. His power was terrifying, his strikes heavy enough to make even distant soldiers dizzy. He clashed with the general, and sparks of metal lit the battlefield. Their weapons met again and again, faster than my eyes could follow. Connie himself admitted his earlier boasting had been too much. The two warriors tested each other, and then the general suddenly cast off his heavy cloak and double-layered armor. He had been carrying extra weight, hiding his true speed and strength. Once freed, his movements became faster, sharper, and stronger. The Viking leader, surprised, was forced back. Realizing his opponent's strength, he too tore off his armor, roaring with fury. Now, with nothing but their blades and soft armor, the two giants faced each other. In the middle of the bloody battlefield, surrounded by death, their duel became the true center of the war. The Viking camp was deep in the forest, guarded by only a few restless sentries. Most of their warriors slept, unaware of what was coming. Suddenly, arrows rained down. One guard fell instantly, another resisted but was soon pierced. The Chi general had launched a surprise attack. The clash woke the Vikings, who rushed out with axes, roaring into battle. The fight was savage. Blood soaked the ground, screams and steel filled the night. The Vikings' strength was terrifying, their axes breaking swords and forcing Chi soldiers to retreat. But the Chi general stood out like a storm. His bronze sword cut cleanly through enemy after enemy, his movements fierce yet calm. Watching him from the distance with Connie, I was stunned. His speed rivaled even Connie's, and his strength was overwhelming. The battle seemed to tip when the Viking leader appeared, huge and blood-soaked, wielding a massive axe. His strikes shook the ground, and his power made even distant soldiers dizzy. He clashed with the general in a storm of blows, their weapons sparking with each strike. For a moment, neither gave ground. Then the general cast off his heavy armor, revealing hidden speed. With renewed strength, he slashed the Viking's axe in half and struck him down. The leader's head fell to the earth, and the general raised his sword in triumph. But instead of breaking, the Vikings roared with fury. They fought even harder, unwilling to surrender. Their bloodlust made them more dangerous, and even the general began to struggle. The Chi soldiers pressed forward under his orders, tightening their net with long spears. Slowly, the Viking defense crumbled. Many fell, and the survivors were surrounded. The general called for surrender, but the Vikings only shouted of Valhalla, swearing that no coward would live among them. Their voices rose together as they fought to the death, refusing to bow. I felt chills watching their fearless spirit. The Chi soldiers pressed harder, trying to end it. Just as the last resistance began to weaken, I sensed something. Connie too noticed the treetops shift in the distance. A dangerous presence was near. The general's eyes twitched as he realized it. The true threat, the one everyone feared, was finally about to appear. The battlefield was soaked in blood when the Viking leader arrived. His presence was crushing, and the soldiers of Chi froze under the weight of his earth element power. He mourned his fallen comrade, then turned his sharp eyes on the Chi general. With a wave of his hand, a massive stone spear shot from the ground. The general split it with his bronze sword and charged, but Idavir barely moved, crushing him with elemental force. The general fought bravely, even after being thrown aside and bleeding heavily. His will was unbroken, and he stood again, declaring he was not fighting alone. But against an elementalist, his chances were slim. The Viking leader's axe, glowing with brown light, struck again. Energy surged into the general's body, breaking his chest and tossing him back into a tree. Smiling faintly at the rising sun, he breathed his last. The Viking leader called for surrender, but the Chi soldiers refused. They roared in defiance, choosing death over submission. Enraged, he raised his axe and summoned devastating earth power. Stone pillars burst from the ground, piercing the soldiers in an instant.